Hey folks, Lemonade here, and today we got another claw grip competitor, the one looking to possibly beat Endgame Gear, Pulsar, and take that crown away from Lamzu. Introducing the Ninjutso Sora. Now fair warning, we are going to get a bit more technical than usual at one point in this video, so let's find out after this. Hey folks, just wanted to add, as per usual, if you decide you like this video, don't forget to like and sub at some point down below. It does really help the channel out a lot. Thanks. Alright folks, I'm going to put the specs on the screen right about here so you can dive into those if you like. Now, when it comes to finding the mouse and its availability, it is listed on their own website, and Max Gaming also carries it in Europe. I know they are out of stock on the website. You may be able to find some on Max Gaming, but essentially it's a pretty popular mouse right now. Shipping for me, ordering it directly from Ninjutso, took about 10 business days, and I even paid for expedited shipping. It does ship out of China if you order through them. So just something to note if you go that route. All right, we want to quickly take a look at the box here because this is a very nice packaging, and I like to see companies taking a little bit of pride in their packaging because I do really think that bleeds over to the product if they take a few extra steps. Nice pull-out tab here, really good touch, and it has this kind of frosted plastic design with this pull-out tab here and this really deep, thick foam that covers the mouse, and then obviously all your goodies are down here below. In the box, of course, you get all those goodies like the nice braided cable here, a USB receiver, and an adapter which has the Ninjutso logo on both of them, which is a really nice touch, and a set of extra PTFE skates, which we will go over those a little bit later. Overall, the accessories are very high quality. All right, folks, let's do a quick close-up of the mouse here for everyone. So you can see we have USB-C on the mouse. The scroll wheel steps are nicely defined and has a good coating and texture to it. It's not too tall either, and the click is very satisfying and reassuring. Side buttons do have a bit more pre and post travel than I personally like, but they have an absolutely lovely coating on them and shape. They are very easy to distinguish because of this kind of rounded nature of them, and the coating itself is a gloss finish. I think more companies should do that. It's a nice differentiating point between the texture of the mouse. Now onto the skate design here. By default, we have this four-corner design installed with the censoring. But as you can see, though, there are grooves here that extend through the middle of those two skates, which is where the other skates that I was just showing you in the box come into place. You can choose between the two wider ones, which will provide a touch more control versus this four-corner design. The hybrid design is great to see because it does give you some good versatility as a gamer. That said, the actual skates themselves are just okay, definitely on the scratchier side outside of the box. Currently, there aren't any third-party options, but you may be able to fit certain brands because of these wider cutouts. Oh, I did almost forget. There is also a USB receiver storage under this door. You can also remove that and save about a gram of weight if you choose to do so. Okay, so build quality. You know, I was genuinely curious about this because now officially this is the lightest mouse in my collection at about 45 grams. And I'm happy to report it's actually pretty phenomenal. There is no creaking or rattling and nearly zero flex. Now, the reason I'm saying nearly because you can actually feel just a little bit if you squeeze the sides down here, but even the most aggressive claw shouldn't feel that in-game. That all said, I'm really impressed here in Ninjutso. Not an easy job, I'm sure, especially with the zero visible holes on the mouse. I did want to add the Sora had been delayed a few times for various reasons, one of which was really to dial in the QC and the manufacturing process, making more smaller batches early on before releasing it to ensure the customers had a product that really represented what they wanted out the gate. In their words, not something that felt like a batch one version. I can't help but to think that was a little bit of a dig at Pulsar there. So it's good to see Ninjutso taking a different approach. And the sensor itself, like we saw earlier, is that 3395. The implementation has been great, zero issues on my end. It doesn't seem there is a way to disable motion sync for the folks that want that option, but it's never personally bothered me on other mice or this one. For example, it's on by default on the Viper V2 Pro, so not a big deal overall. I have heard that there may be a lesser MCU within this mouse. Usually you'll find a Compex or Nordic MCU, so I can't confirm this myself, but when I'm bouncing between other mice, I really haven't noticed any issues, skipping, or stutters. If you really want to know, check with the whale on Twitter if you want some deeper insight onto the MCU. Overall, it's nice to see them actually using the latest sensors, something that some other companies are a little lacking behind at the end of 2022. Okay, on to the switches here. So these are actually Huano black shell pink dots. So the first time I've used them personally, I do like the low button height here, and the implementation overall is very crispy, very low pre or post travel on them, has a kind of sharp snappiness. They do feel a touch heavier to actuate than something like the Huano blue shell pink dots, like you would find on the Lamzu Atlantis or some nice Kales. Also, maybe I'm just feeling the lower spring back compared to those. It doesn't kind of snap back quite as with a bounce, I guess is the best way to describe it. Anyway, if I had to pick, I do prefer the feeling on the Lamzu's blue shells, but I do have to give the Sora credit here for going with something a little bit outside of the box versus standard Kales. And this is a big one. As I mentioned earlier, there were delays with the mouse, and one of those reasons was these switches. So they did work with Huano closely and taking a lot of time to get them right to their preference. And that's always great to see companies taking extra steps to really dial in QC and the feel of a mouse. Okay, so the coating of the mouse is next, and it is a step up from like slicker OEM feeling plastic because it has a small bit of texturing on the surface. That said, it's not particularly my favorite. My hands do get sweatier than most, I should say, especially in my warm office. So I'd want some grip tape to use this day to day, something I do wish that they had included in the box, similar to what Lamzu has done. Now, quick note on the software, I'm going to put a screenshot up here for you so you can take a look at that. It is a very basic software suite. It does get the job done. A liftoff distance can be set to 1 or 2 millimeters. Debounce can go as low as 0 milliseconds. As a battery percentage indicator, you can disable the DPI button, reduce your DPI setting choices down to 1 instead of having all 4 active. Overall, it gets the job done, nothing too impressive and nothing particularly bad about it. Okay, so on to the shape. Sorry, this is going to get a little bit more technical than I usually do, and I'm not going to do this that often, but this mouse kind of threw me for a little curve, specifically because I use a fingertip grip, but also for other grip styles too, as we'll see shortly. For reference, my hands are 19.5 by 10 centimeters, and I am a wrist aimer. So we have a lot to unpack here. I originally purchased this mouse as a kind of alternative in size between the Pulsar X2 and X2 Mini, and hopefully a smaller Lamzu. And on paper, that's definitely how it looked. By the way, I do have the X2 Mini in the office, so review coming soon. Keep an eye out for that. So I'm going to bring out the Lamzu to compare here. And I do want to say I also literally bought a digital caliper, as you can see here, because I wasn't really understanding why the mouse felt so off to me. It's not something I'll pull out all the time on my reviews, but I will feature some of the measurements that I took from it on the screen up here, wherever I decide to put it, when it's relevant in a review. Okay, so let's get into it. First off is the hump here. So it's designed as a claw mouse, obviously, similar to the Atlantis, but they positioned it further back. As you can see listed, from the max height of the mouse here to the backside here, there's about a difference of 2 millimeters in length longer on the Sora versus the Atlantis. Really what that means is that it's making more palm contact because it has less distance to drop from its max point of height here to, again, the bottom of the mouse here versus the Lamzu's slope. Then we got to follow up with the side buttons. The difference in distance of the edge of this back button to the back of the mouse itself is 8 millimeters larger on the Sora. So really what that means is that if I want to kind of get in between both side buttons evenly like this, I'm going to have to shimmy my hand up further up into the mouse, which then, as you expect, leads to more inner palm contact. And the last piece here is going to be the width difference between the widest point of the mouse to the grip width area here, which when we look at the measurements is 1.1 millimeters bigger of a difference on the Sora. That means that the flare comes out more aggressively on the Sora, which does limit some of this area here from being comfortable to kind of grip onto due to it being a sharper angle between this point and this point. Again, for reference, if we look at the Lamzu, it's just a more gradual, natural curve. Okay, enough of all the technicals. What this all really means is that the mouse, even though on paper is smaller than the Lamzu, it does feel bigger for fingertip grip because of all those little design choices. But then you must be asking, Lemonade, what's the reason why it's designed this way, right? Like, who's it actually for? There must be good reasoning here. Well, I will say it's incredibly good for aggressive claw players and folks who like a pincer claw grip because it's exceptional really at getting you locked into it. But on the flip side, the Lamzu does that fairly well as well. And it can handle palm grip better, and fingertip grip better, and even relaxed claw better. Plus, the included grip tape gives you more versatility across all those styles. And to add, it's $5 cheaper with way more color options to choose from. Okay, so overall thoughts here. I don't want to sound overly negative on the Sora because it's an awesome mouse. It's the lightest mouse I now own. It's perfectly balanced, has zero QC issues due to them actually taking a lot of time and care on this product, and great implementation of all the high-end specs it's including. Packaging is a step above most, and the price point is more than fair for what you are getting here. If you rock that aggressive claw grip and have smaller or medium hands, this thing is going to be a dream and you're really going to be happy with the money you spent on it. But if you're anyone else, then I just have to recommend the Atlantis over it for its pure versatility. And on that note, all my socials are down below with any affiliate links and discount codes. If you had a good time with me today, likes and subs are always appreciated. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts were. But until the next Fresh Squeeze video, stay thirsty, folks.